Hi guys, it's Pam from Cranberry Cottage. Hey, I get a lot of questions about how I prep my furniture before I paint, so I thought I'd do a short video to show you what I do as far as getting my furniture pieces ready to go so I can slap on that first coat of paint. So if you hang with me for a minute, I'll get set up and I'll show you what I do. Okay guys, so we're back. As you can see on this wardrobe behind me, I've already started doing some prep work. On this particular piece, I'm not going to take the hardware off. Sometimes I pull the hardware off of my pieces before I start prepping them. This particular piece, it wasn't in too bad a shape. It just had some dings and some things that are gonna need to be smoothed out. So I will get to that in just a minute. The first thing that I do though is I've got about 4 products that I really like to use when I'm prepping my furniture, and it just depends if a piece of furniture needs all of them or if it just needs some of them. So the first thing that I like to use is Automotive Bondo. It's a auto body filler. It's a 2-part epoxy type thing. I mix it up on a paper plate and I use a spatula or some kind of a trowel, and then I just start putting it on the dings, on the pieces that I need to have kind of smoothed out. Up here there was some really big nicks. So I will put that on there. I will sand it all down, make it all nice and smooth. I'll do it with an electric sander, and then sometimes in the more critical portions I will do it by hand sanding, and I use a 220 grit always. Doesn't matter if I'm starting from the very beginning to the end, I always use a 220 grit. I always find that if I start with a heavier grit, like a 150, 100, it leaves little sanding marks on the pieces that I'm doing. Then I have to go back with the 220 and clean it all back up. So I just automatically start with 220. I may go through more sanding pads, but in the long run, for me, it's much better. So once that's all done and sanded and all dried down, I use this Jasco. It's a TSP cleaning degreaser substitute. So what I do is I mix it in a spray bottle to its proper proportions. I spray the piece down, and then I wipe it back with a sponge and some paper towels. That gets all of the gross grease, dirt, grime, grunge off. Allows the paint to stick. Now they say chalk paint, you don't have to do all of this, but let me tell you, the better your surface is prepped, the better your piece will look in the end. I get a lot of you like that really old, worn type of look, but when I'm doing my furniture pieces, my artistic furniture pieces, I really want to put in a lot of effort and make sure that the pieces are prepped really, really well. So then after that's all done and everything is all dried, the grease and the grime and everything has gone down, after I wipe it down with this, I spray it with this, wipe it down with a sponge and some paper towels. Then I have a clear water bottle, just a plain water, a spray bottle. I spray the piece down again and I give it one more wipe down. And what that does is it just gets all of the grease and the grime and the residual residue that's on there, it gets it off of there. Makes it a really nice surface to paint on. Then I let that dry for, I don't know, anywhere from half a day to 24 hours. It just depends. If you can get it outside and get it in the heat and the moisture all evaporates really, really fast, then this next step is super easy. So what I do with all of my furniture pieces, I've only had one piece of furniture that gave me total grief using this shellac, and we had to use a different product, and I'll show you what that is. Some of these older antique furniture pieces, they have a tendency to have tannins in them, even if they have a finish on them. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you're painting chalk paint and you're using a very light color, sometimes on these pieces you will get some browning that comes up through the chalk paint. So if that happens, what has occurred is there's tannins that is coming up through the old wood, and your paint is pulling that up through the paint. So you're gonna get these brown, kind of really browny looking areas. Basically it looks like brown stain. So what I do, and this is after I have prepped my piece. Now on these particular pieces with the chalk paint, after I have cleaned it with the TSP, I guess I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, I will go back with a 220 sandpaper and just finally hand sand everything down. If you want to use an electric sander, please knock yourself out. It takes less time. It's a lot less physical work. I'm just one of these that prefer to use the hand sanding. Really all you have to do on these pieces like this, you don't have to take it down to the wood. You just have to give the finish just a little bit of tooth so that that paint really sticks well. So let me recap for these first couple of steps. So what I do is when I take a look at a piece, if I see that it needs to have some work done on it, if it's got some chips, if it's got some holes, what have you, I will go through, I will mix me up some Bondo, just some automotive Bondo, and I will get that all put on here. It hardens up probably within 20 minutes, so then I'm able to sand down those particular spots. I will go ahead and give the whole piece a sanding. Then I will take my TSP, I will mix it up in a spray bottle. I will spray the piece down, wipe it down with a sponge and some paper towels. After I've done that, then I will take a spray bottle full of nothing but clean water, spray the piece down, wipe it down again to get any residual residue off of there. Then after that, I will do one more step. I will go ahead and do another hand sanding with the 220 just to make sure that I got everything. I will wipe that down, get that to dry, and then after everything is all dry, then I always take and shellac. What shellac does is it actually is a stain blocker. I've only had one piece of furniture that this did not work on. And it was a mahogany piece and there was a lot of oil down in the wood and it was an antique piece. However, we kept painting it and it kept pulling it up. We kept putting the shellac on and it just didn't block it. However, I did have another blocker that I used, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. And that was what we used on that particular piece. But every other piece of furniture that I've ever painted, I've been able to use Zinsser's shellac. And I like the spray form because it's a no-brainer, it's super easy, it gets into all the nooks and crannies, it dries like within 20 minutes, super fast. So after I've done all my prep work, sanded, cleaned, I will take and put 2 light coats of this shellac all over my pieces. And what that does is it seals in all of the odors, it seals in all of the tannins, so that when you are painting with your chalk paint, none of that brown can be pulled up and discolor your whites, your lighter colors. And it works really, really great. I have cans of this on hand in my studio at home. I love this stuff. Now, on the one piece of furniture that I told you I had a problem with, it was a T-cart, it was mahogany, it was a beautiful piece, but we just could not seem to get the oils that were in the wood to quit seeping up. So I used Dixie Belle Boss. And we are a premier retailer for Dixie Belle. So we have this in stock at all times. We have the white and we also have the clear. 2 coats of this and then repainting it. And let me tell you, blocked all of that oil coming up and we were able to continue on with our project. It was a fabulous thing. So anyways, on this particular portion, those are my main go-to products. I use 220 sandpaper all the time unless I have a really stubborn piece that I need to get a bunch of gunk off for some reason. Then I will go down to 180, 150, 100. But other than that, I use 220 all the time. And if I really want a really nice silky smooth, then I will go up. I will go up to 320, I will go up to 400, and I will even go up to 600. It just depends on the type of finish that I want. So there you have, those are the main products that I use for prepping my pieces. those basically are the only 4 that I do. So if you have any questions, just put it down in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you guys are having a fabulous day, and I hope that you are surviving COVID. All right, guys, talk soon. Bye.